YouTube. No. You're all set.
Right. Good evening. Welcome to you out there in TCTV land, and those that might be watching us on YouTube at a later time. We are going to have our meeting of the Templeton Agricultural Commission, and we are going to start that meeting off with the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. All right, so we are going to follow the agenda that was posted on the meeting site. Slight change, the minutes that were on the posted agenda had previously been reviewed. However, we are going to review minutes from the April 1st, 2024 meeting and the October 7th, 2024 meeting with this caveat. You can only vote on the minutes if you were present at that meeting. But because we have a quorum here tonight, we can go ahead and approve. It's just that you will abstain from the voting if you were not actually at the meeting. So we are going to start with our April 1st, 2024 meeting, and in attendance was myself, Carrie Novak, Andre Chartier, and Timothy Roddy, who is not here tonight. These were previously emailed out by Mrs. Case, sorry. There any questions on the April 1st minutes?
I don't have any.
You don't have any? I don't have any. All right. So I make a motion. Andre, why don't you make a motion to approve the minutes?
Yeah, I make a motion to approve.
And I second that. You in favor, Andre?
Yes, I am.
I am too. Would you like to abstain, Mr. Pease?
Yes, I would like.
All right. Let's consider those approved. And the next minutes that we will review are the October 7th minutes. And in attendance at that meeting was myself and Mr. Roddy and Mr. Pease.
I move to accept the minutes of the October meeting.
I'll second that. I am in favor of that.
I as well.
And Mr. Pease is as well. And would you like to abstain, Mr. Chartier?
Yes,
All
please.
right. Well, we will call those minutes accepted. And
Carrie, since you are the person that was at both meetings, I'll just have you
alrighty.
do both signatures. Today's date.
Mhm.
Right.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, so the next item on our agenda is a discussion about expanding the community garden in the town of Templeton. So we, our attending person here, Miss Denio O'Connor and I, and Jackie Prime have been meeting a couple times at the library. And we also have been kind of discussing back and forth in through emails and texts and so forth. And so the vision is to create a community garden that would be kind of a focal community spot where we could maybe do activities, tie it in with, you know, maybe a little bit of the farmer's market, talk about food security, talk about really a lot of different things that would go along with the community garden. And we're really kind of in the beginning stages of doing this. We're going to be putting something on the Templeton Agriculture Commission Facebook page that we have. I don't know if you guys have looked at that recently. There really hasn't been much recently, but we hope to kind of keep that up to date with what's going on. We're kind of we've been loosely talking about potentially 2 spots, one being at the library. And, we even threw out other locations like, possibly in back of the town hall. So we really haven't nailed down anything. We're in the process of speaking with some of our elected officials to find out, what can we do? What can't we do? We want to make sure we go about and do this the correct way. And the whole idea is really for it to be community, really to be a place of education or, something of that nature. Thoughts, ideas?
Now, you obviously have done some research
Yes,
on community gardens. I know
Yes.
Amherst has one,
Westminster has 2, one at the library, one at the senior center.
and have you talked to those folks and see how those?
Well, I helped build one of them in Westminster, and I also donate plants to the other one in Westminster. So I have talked to the people there. We do have, we're working on a document of kind of like all the things to consider when you're considering a community garden.
I'm sort of ignorant when it comes to community gardens and the structure and whatnot.
Mhm.
But they have a hierarchy of structure on how to organize it, and
Mhm.
who gets what plot or whatever, and all that sort of thing.
Yeah,
That's great.
Yeah.
I think it's fabulous.
yeah. And we're really leaning towards the raised bed
Yeah.
model. And also there is presently one at the senior center. And I believe your brother has done some work on helping to kind of refurbish because it was getting the wood was getting a little bit rotten there.
Sure.
So I also hope, to meet with the Council on Aging and the new senior director and find out, if there's a way we can kind of assist that project as well.
I think it's a great way to excite agriculture.
Yes.
For my own knowledge and also whoever might be watching this or watches it in the future, how would one, if they wanted to become involved, would they go to the Facebook page? Would they message someone? Would they call someone? How could someone get involved?
Yeah, I think, and actually, we really have had just 2 meetings. So those are kind of the questions that we're talking about is first our vision, what are we hoping that it's going to be or it's going to look like? And then as we move from, what's in our head, then kind of getting some public support, some public ideas, and then starting to spread the word of this is what we're thinking. Are you interested? Would you like to volunteer? Kind of starting really grassroots, very, very grassroots, but probably the Facebook page is going to be, one of our primary means right now of letting people know.
Okay.
Now, would you need some sort of funding to get it off the ground,
Well,
or how's that?
That's another really good point. At first, we were talking about maybe going for CPC funds, which is community preservation under the open space and recreation cohort, which this does qualify because other towns have used that funding source to do community gardens. But then, when we were stepping back and thinking about that, we realized that vote of the town wouldn't happen until kind of late May. And then funds wouldn't become available till more June and July. You can't pre-buy and get reimbursed. So if this was something we were going to do, we need to figure out another way rather than
Private funding?
private
So
funding.
I think it's a great idea. I think it's an excellent way to promote agriculture and getting people involved with it
Yeah.
on a practical standpoint as well as a productive standpoint for their own
Yes.
households. And yeah, it's a no-brainer. And, maybe a campaign for public funding, because I think it has something that people will gravitate
Yeah.
to. I think the community and the culture is just right for this kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I think that's why a lot of our small businesses succeed. I know that's one of the reasons why we're doing so well. is because of the culture and what's going on. So, no, I think it's great.
Yeah, I also looked into the potential for the Greater Gardner Community Foundation. Their grant doesn't open until fall. But I mean, this would be a small ask. We're talking about probably less than $5,000, you know, more in maybe the $2,000 to $3,000 range. So I feel we'd have a high probability of getting additional funding that way. If we wanted to start small, see how that goes, see how the community is doing it, start building traction, and then, you know, potentially go for an expansion.
How do you think the Ag Commission can assist or help in this?
Well, I think number one, by promoting, you know, if somebody hears about it and they come to one of us and say, hey, I heard about this community garden, what do you think? You know, being a positive face for this idea and this project. And then,
Again, I think it's great.
and we could always go for like a letter of approval. The Ag Commission, you know, would like to throw its approval or throw its support behind this project or something with a signed letter.
I think getting a promotional medium packaged together and getting it out to all the ancillary activity, I don't know, websites or it just saying, hey, this is now being formed. I think it's a great thing. And
Yeah,
probably, I don't know, maybe figure out what, you know, why Amherst's success or the ones that you've been working. I think it's,
yeah. And like I said, we're sort of at the beginning. We're kind of, this has kind of been Nicole's brainchild and sort of her hopes and dreams of doing something as a fairly new resident to Templeton. This is really exciting to see somebody coming in and saying, you know, they want to make a positive change for our town. So,
It's good.
all right. So, the next item, you know, kind of ties into that, the farmer's market. I've also been talking with, Jackie Prime. I hate the idea of giving up on it. So I think I'm hoping to once again try to, marry our farmer's market with the monthly concerts. And maybe, one person had said, you know, gee, I wish you didn't stop when we started, you know, if we could have maybe been more visible like we had talked about before.
it makes perfect sense because, you know, to have them run congruently.
Yes, right.
together is important
Yeah.
because they're there for you. Let me go over there and, you know,
Yep.
get some product and then,
Yeah,
because when you
especially if we could do snacks or
divorce the
something.
two, all of a sudden it defeats the purpose of
Yeah.
unity.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So,
The
So-
concerts have a good following too, from
They
what I
do.
see.
Yeah.
It's always a pretty big crowd.
Yeah.
there. The weather's nice.
Yeah, right, if the weather's nice. So,
Yep.
so that's our angle this year. And then, you know, we also talked about once we have our site for the community garden, when we get later into the season, if we have excess produce, let's throw a pop-up market right at the community garden, you know, and
Yeah.
invite others to come and sell some of the produce there as maybe a funding mechanism for, you know, for down the road. So, I think right now what we're looking at is we're looking for the dates. Jackie has contacted the Cultural Council to see if they've set the dates for the concerts yet. They have not. But as soon as they do, then I think we'll, you know, probably start somewhat of an advertising campaign, try to get buyers and sellers is what we need, you know, as in the past.
yeah, you definitely need to have.
Yeah.
You need vendors.
Yes, if I'm well
on-
aware.
On a consistent basis.
Yes.
If you get the dates and they're set in stone with the concerts, we could do a flyer for short money. I can put it in the electric bill
Yeah.
Oh.
and then everybody would have
Oh.
dates
That's a great idea.
for a couple $100.
Yeah, that's a great idea because then maybe other people, you know, I think sometimes people get the idea that they've got to be big to come to vend at a farmer's market. But that's not true. Even when I brought vegetables, I sell, you know, like 3 bags of green onions. I'm happy to do it. But most people can have small quantities of vegetables from their own gardens and homesteads and, you know, so it would be great to have a lot more variety of agricultural produce there. Okay. All right, so that's a great idea. And once we get the dates, and then we'll probably go for Well, we had a guitar player who was actually exceeded expectations as far as I thought he was really good. But we wouldn't want to have him playing while the concert was going on, but he played ahead of time. He was really good. All right, our next agenda item, are there any animal issues that should go? All right,
Oh, boy.
she's knocking on wood, that's good. All right. Um, and, okay, so this agenda looked just a little bit different than this one. All right, so sometime back, I don't know if, you must have been on the committee by then, I'm not sure. But we had, signs for the Templeton, ag producers. I know my sign is on Hubbardston Road where
The right to farm
the
signs.
right, thank you.
Yeah.
Blah. Yes, the right to farm
The
signs.
town lines on the main roads. Yeah.
So we do still have some additional money. I know Resette's had wanted one. And I think I want to go out with like another, probably I'll put on the Facebook, but if you know of a like, I don't believe Tim ever got one. A sign?
I believe that discussion was before he was
Okay.
on the committee anyway.
So we need to reach out to him. I think we can do conservatively 3, maybe 4. With the money that's remaining and have those. And then I think the highway department was generously helped put those up. I think your brother
I
got that done.
was not an issue last time.
No,
They were helpful.
so
Yeah.
if either of you, if it comes to your mind that there's somebody in town that is an agricultural business, let's get him a sign. And so, just let me know if anybody else comes to mind that might want or appreciate that. Alrighty,
Would,
Yeah.
is there any opposition if somebody wanted, a particular ag entity wanted to do another sign on top of the sign they already have?
I think that the money first should go to,
Oh, there's money we have.
I have some money
Oh,
left,
oh, okay.
that I probably shouldn't announce on public TV, but, I do have some money left. And so that I would like to go to, the people that didn't get a chance in the first round.
Oh, yeah.
All right, but having said that, if somebody
I don't know
wanted
if
to
we
have
should
another
open it up
one,
For opening it up for another
yeah,
solicitation.
right. But having said that, then, if somebody then wanted to, fund it themselves while we are going with the order, I can't see that as being a problem. I don't know if the highway department would have a problem, but I don't think so.
I don't think so, but I can ask.
Okay. I
Bob-
know,
Bob's pretty good for the community. He's done-
Yeah.
Very good.
He's done things for the First Church. I mean, yeah. No.
yeah, he rescued our sign down at the Dwelly Farm. They, one of the plows generously took it out, so.
Oh,
He's helping to reimagine that for us, I think. All right, so the next item is upcoming meetings. I was on a very, very interesting meeting this morning, hosted by the Montechusett Planning Montechusett Regional Planning Commission, MRPC. And they were first approached by the town of Harvard for a what's called an MVP grant. And I had to look that up. I don't know if I brought that because I had no idea what MVP. You get a lot of interesting answers if you Google it, but MVP program is the Municipal Vulnerability Preparedness. And it's a rather large grant program in Massachusetts, and Harvard had applied for this grant under the MRPC for climate resiliency, for agriculture sustainability. And that's just lots of big words, but in a sense, what MRPC is looking at is they have not done really a regional agricultural grant before. And they saw this as an opportunity to take some of the towns within their region and see if they had an interest in participating in kind of a joint application. And so they kind of went around and said, what are your concerns? What are the things that would interest you? I mean, the top one is education. So if there was money in there to have some good educational programming, both for existing farmers, but also for the general public, for school children, really kind of an approach to kind of teach our townspeople about farming. I brought up, there's always some confusion on the right to farm. Does the right to farm mean I can have a 1/4 acre and 10 pigs? Or does the right to farm mean if I have 6 acres and I'm raising chickens, I can have a rooster, So I still think that there's a need for continuing education on exactly what that means and what it means to our town and what it means to our ag producers. So this was the very first meeting. And the towns that participated in this call, I participated for Templeton. There were some folks from Hubbardston, from Westminster, from Lunenburg, from Sterling, and from Harvard. To me, this sounds like if the grant is large enough and if it's, helpful enough that really maybe they should reach out to the other towns within their region, because I could see if this went through and Templeton was able to get a really nice slug of money and do some great programming, Phillipston might be sitting there and saying, huh? What about us? I didn't know about this. He reached out to me, asked if Templeton would be interested in participating. I said, of course we would be. Anything that we could do. So I don't know an awful lot about this. The grant has already closed for 2025. And as hard as it is to realize, 2026 is around the corner. So with their fiscal year being a June, or ending in June, starting in July. So I think that is their goal, is to put together a regional grant application. And I had asked Lori if she would just kind of copy for you just what Harvard had submitted to MRPC, just as sort of a background of what we might be interested in. So as I learn more, I hope to, get input from the committee as to, if we were able to participate in this regional grant, what would we be interested in? What would Templeton like to see to help, even if it's just education on climate resilience, education on right to farm, education on, what a farm is. All of us acknowledge that we're not the Midwest, so I consider my 3 acres a farm because I sell with the intent to profit.
Would composting be under AgCom? Just as a resident, I have lots of questions regarding composting, like if it's legal in some sense, if you have like a certain bin, if it needs to be far away from your house.
Yeah, the question Nicole posed was about composting, and that sounds like a great area of education that even households could use. And we had talked about if we were to do the raised bed project for community garden at the library. I own a mill, which is an indoor composter, and with the size of my family at the present, I have to empty that thing every other week, but it just takes all of our food and coffee grounds and eggshells and bananas and just turns it into this material I can just put on my garden. Because my previous efforts led to lots of wonderful rodents.
Right.
That happens.
Yeah. And the hawk that I have in my backyard does a great job, but doesn't get them all.
Well, I just noticed a key statement in the Harvard brief. Basically, they talk about farmland, as farmland is lost, several societal impacts, and this is extremely important. And also, in this town is definitely affected by it. But go to your point with as far as Midwest large farms, most of the food source and products are on small farms. The acreage is not even,
Yeah.
it's just built up. I don't know what this.
No, I know. Worcester County used to be actually the second largest direct source.
Exactly, that's what I
produce.
said, right. So it's extremely important to maintain the small agribusinesses that are in our communities. So this is a great opportunity for us to take a look at this and be part of this particular grant program. That can actually excite agriculture in our communities and also educate the people to that, because that's going to be important, because there is certain other activities that are associated with farm, whether it be manure and this sort of thing, that might be a deterrent to some folks, but that's part of the process of agriculture and livestock.
Yeah.
And anyway, I think this is a good opportunity for
Yeah.
us to try to take a look at this and see how we can take advantage of it.
Yes, for sure. So the next action after today's meeting was that they're going to summarize the comments from the different towns and kind of put that together in a document for us. So that, we can kind of look it over, and then to say what's our next step, which is going to be, probably a working group.
We don't need to reinvent the wheel here.
No, we do not.
Get a
We do not.
template or a foundation platform to run off.
Yep.
We can wheel it right into our needs and
Yes.
what we think. So,
Yes.
yeah.
All right. I kind of skipped over, backing up to my agenda a little bit on number 3, where we're talking about the farmer's market. Steve from TCTV has been talking a little bit with Lori, about possibly using Scout Hall, as kind of a little visitor center, and maybe allowing local farmers maybe to showcase some of their products or merchandise, or whatever, to kind of use. He said it's in a very small area, 10 by 14, but it might be an area to have some swag, some Templeton swag, and maybe some individual farm swag, for people to kind of come in if they're coming into town, go and look and and see what they have. So I think that I haven't talked to Steve myself. I think that's sort of in the early stages, or maybe just a kind of a conception stage.
That's a today idea.
So that is pretty recent. Yeah. 2:06 p.m.
Yes.
So yeah, it's when you talk about
Hey.
ground floor.
You're talking about being on top of it.
But definitely something to consider.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So this would be something that's in your packet, and was a copy of the email conversation that he had. with
Actually, I
Lori.
don't think I only put it in your packet.
You only put it in my
I
packet.
can forward the
All right.
email
Email to us.
to
Yeah.
all of
That
you.
would be wonderful. Thank
Okay.
you.
Yeah, so we will make that available to you. So I know that I have talked in the past about Growing Places, which is the nonprofit out of Leominster. They're actually where I sell all of my produce too, that I don't sell at the farmer's market. They have signed a lease to be in the Waterford Street School in Gardner on Waterford Street. And
Really,
they're going to have a processing center there.
that's wonderful.
It is wonderful
That's-
because
Love to see that.
you talk about maybe different classes of produce, your you want to sell direct to farmers, and as you get a little bit older or down on there, it's still good, still healthy, but probably more appropriate for processing into some other. So
Karen,
yes, ma'am.
May I ask you processing? So if you have somebody who wants to do or sell their pickles because they do canning, that would be a place to process?
Yeah, I think that they're still working out the sort of the
Logistics.
rental of, you know,
Okay.
that person would have to be served safe and it would have to be certain conditions for Food Safety Act as far as, you know,
Testing and. what-
testing and, but it will be a commercial kitchen.
Okay.
And so I actually am able to take a tour of the processing center on Thursday. I don't remember what time. I think I'm going at 5:30. So what they did is they opened it up to the members of the group that I'm a member of, the Montechusett Agricultural Alliance. That's our group of North Worcester County farmers. And we meet every month. And so we're probably going to be some of the first ones to bring our produce there and then, you know, work on that model and see how that goes. They have some folks there that have been developing recipes. They're doing a lot of farm to school already and farm to institution. And so they're hoping to expand that to more institutions like, you know, the prison, hospitals, schools. And
So in the,
yeah,
excuse me, in the future, when you were bringing your vegetables to Leominster before?
Yeah.
Now you'll be able to bring them to Gardner?
it depends. If I want the higher retail price, I'll bring that to Leominster.
Okay.
And unless they have a pickup person in Gardner.
Mm-hmm.
So the stuff that's going to go to Gardner is going to be processed, whereas the stuff I was bringing to Leominster was going right out on their mobile market
Okay,
or in their fresh boxes.
okay, yep, that
Um,
makes sense.
Yeah, and they decided 130 pounds of my sunchokes was just a little too much.
That is a lot of sunchokes.
It is a lot, and I didn't sell them all either, but tale for another day. So, but that's exciting because I think that brings an opportunity for people maybe even to develop and to grow produce, you know, to be able to bring their, you know, they buy a lot from the valley. They buy from the southeast Mass. I think it's Ward's Farm or another farm down there. And that's good. That's fine because they're farmers, but I think we have a lot to offer. We're not just, you know, rocks and hay. So I think the opportunity for us to be able to develop a good, strong market here is important as well, to kind of highlight this area. I was able to sign up for a free webinar with MDAR, the Massachusetts Department of Agricultural Resources, on marketing, and somewhat basic, but some, you know, pretty good. And then also UNH recently sponsored a free seminar on Chat GPT for farmers. So, you know, more in the marketing angle of what you can use Chat GPT to do to kind of enhance your farm. And I learned about them from the New England, or is it New England or Northeast Vegetable and Berry Conference that was held up in Manchester.
What's the biannual?
Is it, well, the big one is that's every year, right? And then they have smaller ones.
Every year.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Anyway, there was a lot of good topics covered there.
Big show.
So, you know, MDAR has a lot of opportunities for free seminars on areas of that you need to expand in your business. All right, I'd like to open it up to my esteemed colleagues. Do you have anything that you'd like to add in the agricultural world?
I'm pruning apple trees right
You're
now.
pruning, yeah.
Let's
Do you
go.
sell your
Yeah.
sell your apple prunings? I know some people like they sell it as, you know, apple wood.
Everything can be.
Everything could be for
everything,
sale.
yeah. Yeah, somebody want, you know, well, you
Someone
know,
would buy it.
apple wood, you know.
Yeah.
You know, for smokers and stuff like that, sure.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Are you still doing hay? Obviously not right now with snow cover, but do you still, do you just?
I do not, no, we're doing some at my dad's farm, but
Uh-huh.
mostly with the help of, with the lanes.
Okay.
And then the last year I was using some of Gary Young's equipment and helping him before he passed,
Okay,
helping him with finishing up his stuff and doing some of my brother's
uh-huh,
land as well. So I'm still kind of dabble in it a little bit, not with my own
yeah,
stuff.
Yeah.
Pretty much when I'm home in the summer, then I do some work there.
alrighty, yeah, I don't really have anything else to add, other than I need to submit my crop plan to Growing Places as to what I'm planning to do, and I'm sure that my numbers are very small in comparison to some of the bigger farms, but it's still exciting.
Yep, it's all
Oh,
good.
yeah.
All my seeds are bought. I try to do that in November because I never know if they're gonna run out. Alrighty, our next scheduled meeting,
Appears
is
to
in
be
April
7th.
7th. All right,
I can send that out tomorrow too.
okay. All right, if there, I am assuming that there were no questions, from the folks in TCTV land. Did any questions come in?
No questions.
No questions, okay, all right. Well, once again, thank you if you are out there in TCTV land, or if you are watching us, when we hit YouTube. Appreciate everybody's support, and with that, I will call the meeting to a close at 6:43.